It says here we should work in teams. Who wants to be my spotter?
I don't think you should be doing too much gambling tonight, Alan.
Gambling? Who said anything about gambling? It's not gambling when you know you're going to win.
What's going on, everybody? This is the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast presenting the Fantasy Walkabout, and the last image there was a tweet a little while back from Tags, taken from us too soon. We're going to open it with that. I mean, the guy was fantastic at everything he did. He was a great human being. Please, if you haven't already, go donate to that, to the family of Tags. And that's why I always say, check in on your friends and your loved ones. Hey, everybody, I'm your host with the most time in his hands. I'm Thomas Tipple, FF. Across from me over there is my mate all the way around the world over there in Australia, in Aussie land, the prison itself. How are we doing over there?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Like you said, condolences to the Tagliere family.
Right.
Brutally sad this week. Really tough one to see, and to see the amount of love and support come out on the Bird app and across the platforms has been nice, but it's never good news when a young person is taken from us far too soon, and to have such a contributor to the space gone is it's a crushing blow. Really, really sad.
It's it was just super nice to one thing the fantasy community is mostly good for is coming together when we need to. So that was really nice. Football felt different this week than it had in the past, but I also found myself taking more time to actually watch the games than to do content and videos and stuff like that. So it was different but good, I guess, in that sense. Matty B's here. He's going Lego. Look, the Twitter thing is a little weird. We're going to get that figured out. But if you have questions, comments, anything you want in, the YouTube link is there. You can go and check it out, and we will get your questions and comments flowing. One thing Tom Lee and I like to do to kick your week off after this Monday night game is kind of go over a little bit of the news, but we're not going to sit here and pound away at it. We're not going to go over it for 35 minutes. Look, we just like to run through it quick because there are a ton of great resources out there and a lot of really smart human beings that are going to cover all of this stuff with a fine-tooth comb in articles, videos, 672,000 podcasts. But we're going to do it our way with kind of a do we care? So do we care that AJ Brown is day-to-day? Absolutely, we care that he's day-to-day. It's worth noting, but that definitely means I'm smashing the over on Julio Jones versus the Jets and Derrick Henry. CMC hamstring. Look, this sucks. Hopefully you like. One thing I'm going to give Tom Lee credit for is in rookie drafts, Tom Lee was taking Chuba Hubbard way before I had seen him go to anyone else. And when I kind of asked him why Chuba, he goes, well, he's the only person that has the potential to return first-round value. Yeah. And I was like, oh, damn. And this was like the last draft we did that I finally asked. And I was like, well, that's a great strategy. He's going to net a bunch of profit on this. So remember, Mike Davis was a 1.
For record, Tom, we're taking him earlier than other places, like 2.6, 2.7.
Right, but Chuba Hubbard was going in the third round.
Correct,
the Panthers, right?
Just don't want people thinking I'm trying to,
No, you're not taking him in the first because that would defeat the purpose of returning good value.
Exactly.
Right, but remember, Mike Davis was an RB1 a couple of times when CMC went down. So Chuba Hubbard, we'd like to think, is more athletic. Right, he's still going to catch 5 to 7 passes a week. Very valuable. So yes, we care. Monitor that. But McCaffrey's not dead. I saw people in the DMs and some group chats there. I see Fantasy Intervention saying that McCaffrey is done. He's not done. He's still the GOAT. Look, KJ Hamler, this really sucks for him. He looked really good. ACL, he's done. His opportunity with Judy being out was huge. He's a fun player. He's a favorite of the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast, especially Jacob Sanderson. He loves himself some KJ. So sad to see that. Look, I'm going to stop writing about players in the season because apparently I write one article about James White and he suffers a similar hip injury to Tua and Fitzpatrick and is probably toast for a 29-year-old running back. So that really sucks. He had a real opportunity to be a real solid RB2, but now a lot of questions about the Patriots backfield. Does Damian Harris finally catch some passes? They use Bolden as like a very scary amount in that game, which I thought was very odd. And yeah, Damian Harris isn't a pass catcher, so it'll be very interesting to see how they do with that. So keep an eye on that. We care, but not too much. Just more care that it sucks for James White. And Rashad Bateman returned to practice. We're not going to mention too much about Miles Boykin other than he can stay on the IR and off of the field. But Rashad Bateman returns to practice, which I swear to God, if I'm forced to watch Hollywood Brown drop 3 or 4 deep bomb touchdowns again in my lifetime, I will scream. It was painful. I'm happy they won. I don't give a fuck that the ref missed a delay of game. Shit happens. Dez caught it. Get over it. If I have to watch Hollywood Brown cost Lamar Jackson like 30 fantasy points, I'm going to scream. But the Ravens won the game. Doesn't matter. Kickers matter in fantasy football. I started Justin Tucker and Scott Fishbowl. I hope you did too. 2-1 in Scott Fishbowl. So hey, we're making moves here.
Rolling.
So that's kind of the news. Anything you want to add on top? I think we covered it pretty good there.
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, there's always little niggles and injuries that we've got to keep an eye on. A few players coming back from injury that sat out last week, like Jacobs, Cook, and T. Higgins. Just watches, but again, until we hear anything, we don't care, and we don't want to slow you down.
Awesome. Hey, this just came across on the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. We shouted out Bob Gilchrist, Emmy's Unicorns, his daughter's charity. They hit their goal of $5,000 for the diabetes situation, the Walk for Diabetes, the T1D, right? The fight against T1D. So big shout out to Bob Gilchrist and everything they did over there. I mean, I got mine. My Emmy's Unicorn shirt for my niece is fantastic. Loved it. So congratulations to them. That literally just came across now. So fantastic. Love to hear that. Waivers, another big thing. I mean, everyone's putting out waiver articles and who to pick up and whatever, but it's dynasty, right? So it's going to be bleak.
It's dire.
It's dire for most dynasty leagues, but there are some players. Do not. Look, we like to give our Aussie salutes, right? It's our Aussie wave. Exactly. We're Aussie waving our way through the waiver wire because it is a mess. Don't spend a dime on Josh Gordon. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just stop. Stop it. Put a 0 bid. That's fine, but don't do it. Yeah. What's he going to give you? 1 game, maybe. The Kansas City Chiefs just decide. This is how I figure Patrick Mahomes decides which receiver is going to do. At the end of the week, right? Friday, they go out. And aside from Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, it comes down to who buys him the best dinner, right? Like, and Mahomes sits there and he's like, "What would you order me?" No, I don't like my steaks like that. You're not getting the ball. What did you order me? That wine's okay, but I'm going to come back to that one. Oh, you ordered me the oysters? He's the wide receiver 2 for the week. I feel like that's how he picks and chooses, or he does something. He draws straws. Because it's a different player every week. So
yeah, I'm sure there's some nuanced tactical thing to it, but
I don't think
as
so.
As far as we can tell, I think it is just dinner based.
I think it's who annoys him the least. Right? Because that's how I would do it. That's how I pick most of my things.
Who's my best friend this
week? The
week?
player I want to talk about at least a little bit, is Tommy Tremble. Got involved in the game plan. The Jaguars made a horrific fucking trade, trading for Dan Arnold. Not that Dan Arnold is bad, but they traded away their fucking first-round draft pick corner. Yeah. Granted, he didn't look stellar, but come on. Bad organizations stay bad. And good organizations like Carolina, they keep churning out a profit. They sent a tight end who is getting an okay amount of snaps and targets and whatever for a fucking starting corner.
Yeah.
And they just swapped like a round difference in picks. It's just fucking hilarious. So Tommy Tremble is somebody that I'm willing to spend on, but it's dynasty. Somebody probably got him in the rookie draft and he's on the taxi squad or he's on the waiver. But like, don't go bananas, right? You saw what happened when you go bananas on a player like Trey Sermon, who looked like dog shit. Sorry, he did. He got outplayed by a fullback. Sorry. Third down. Juszczyk was out there. People were in my mentions. I don't care. He's a fullback. Like, horrific in pass pro. Like, that whole backfield is going to be a nightmare. But give me Elijah Mitchell. Look, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the less than exciting. I mean, the Thursday night games have been absolutely the bomb. This week is going to bomb. Most likely. Like, points might get scored, but it's going to be rough. Urban Meyer in primetime should be good. We're going to come back. We're going to go Foot Falcon Friday and talk Thursday night walkthrough. Jacksonville at Cincinnati. So sit tight, come back, and remember, if you have questions or comments you want to get in, you head over to the Dynasty Vipers YouTube channel. You head over to Full Tilt Dynasty podcast YouTube channel. Link is in the Twitter. Get in that. Get your questions. We're going to answer them. We're going to answer them all. So
that's it.
Do that. Sit tight. When we come back, we're going to get into the Thursday night football game. Look, Jacksonville Arizona game was like really exciting until like the third-ish quarter. It was kind of close. Like, I picked up the Arizona defense for this game and actually concerned for a while. Then they put up 19 points and I wasn't concerned anymore. Look, here's what it is for Jacksonville. The wide receivers in Jacksonville is anyone's guess. Marvin Jones is the play for me every week. Chark got the touchdown, but it wasn't pretty. Yeah. Don't know what's going on with Visca right now. He's kind of a hot dynasty topic, but don't fucking drop him. And J-Rob worth playing. I think he is in this game, right? He was an RB1 this week. I actually think he was I want to say RB5 this week, if I'm not mistaken, in standard PPR leagues. When I say standard PPR leagues, I mean leagues without ridiculous bonuses.
Yeah.
But
he's still been worthwhile.
RB4, right? 88 yards on 15 carries, 6 catches for 46 and a touchdown. This is more what we saw last season out of him.
Yeah. RB15 through the first 3 weeks in PPR.
Right.
So
right.
Still worthwhile playing, but not really worth us talking a lot of time about.
Right. So, yeah, we're looking at that right now for him. And in Cincinnati, Burrow did not throw a lot, right? Najee had more targets than Burrow had attempts. So I expect to see a little bit more of that, actually. Mixon is smashing. Jamar Chase, who we're going to talk about in the Hard Yakka portion of the show, the Dynasty Theory portion of the program, his touchdowns I don't think are sustainable, right? There's a reason only Randy Moss did it.
Yeah.
So that's something. Higgins might come back, so that can affect Tyler Boyd. Is it going to affect Jamar Chase? We don't know. But it's going to take, I think, Burrow hitting that 30 to 35 attempts mark, which I think Jacksonville would have to not suck. And I'm not placing my bet on that. How are you looking at Thursday? Is there anyone you're just not playing, or are you kind of open?
I struggle most with the Bengals wide receivers because, like you said, it frames as a good matchup, as in they're going to win the game. But you can't play all three because the game script shouldn't be good enough, and we saw low volume from Burrow. So Tyler Boyd's the one who I'm not really sure about. With Higgins out this week, he had a serviceable game, demanded targets, caught the touchdown.
He created on that touchdown. He did not look like a beta on that one.
Yeah. But yeah, his usage this year is going to be an interesting one to watch, and whether or not he's startable each week or whether you're going to have to convince yourself a game script. So whether or not Higgins comes back in, that's really the watch for me on this shorter week for them. Were they just resting him up last week with the shoulder because they had the short turnaround, or is he actually still banged up? That's going to be one to watch for me. Apart from that, it's just God, I hope it's a better game than it looks like on paper right now.
Yeah, look, I don't know if I'm gonna bet the over on this one, but these Thursday, these
Never
these
know,
Thursday types, they tend to remember back in the day when Thursday football used to like just be the worst. Like even
Always.
before the color
Yeah.
rush games, like
Yeah.
before that was like the thing, they were really bad. And then we had like the color rush only
Era,
jerseys.
yeah.
I remember the mustard yellow Jaguars and the ketchup red Buccaneers jerseys,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is horrific. But now I actually look forward to Thursday Night Football. It's just like, I actually kind of look forward to it now. So that's cool. So that's going to do it. I don't think there's anything else to add for this game. Obviously, start your studs. This is that kind of game. Keep an eye on T. Higgins. Don't just throw him into a wide receiver spot.
Yeah.
Put him in a flex. Actually keep him on your bench until you maybe find out, because you don't want to get trapped in traffic or getting yelled at by your wife or boyfriend or husband or whatever else for not taking the trash out. And then you look and you're like, well, all right, well, he's not playing. I say that because that somebody forgot to set their lineup and they said that was why. So you don't want to do that. So that's going to do it for Foot Falcon Friday. Look, I told everyone we're going to keep emailing Budgie Smugglers. I'm going to email them every single week. We are going to, I swear to God, I am going to start a hashtag Budgie Smugglers promo every tweet I do until they recognize our love and our passion for confidence. And every week we pick a player who is showing next level confidence in the week to come. Look, who have we done? We did Tay God, Heineke, Tay as I like to call him, Jalen Hurts, Sam Darnold, everyone so far when we've dubbed them packing the extra confidence in their Budgie Smugglers has come out and fucking produced. This week is going to be no difference. Did we cut corners? Did we cheat a little bit? You're goddamn right. But not only is Tom Brady going to walk into Foxborough, he's going to walk out there like his dick never left the frickin' room. And how's he going to do it? In his Budgie Smugglers.
In his DTs, that's it.
He is going to show New England what they have been missing. He's going to wear a Super Bowl ring that day, I'm guessing. He's going to be in some mink coat looking real.
Deflate the balls just a little bit.
Real dapper. He might do it. He's not going to have to, because I'm going to tell you, I think Tampa Bay smashes New England this week by 20 plus points. He lost in LA. Did you see the clip where he was cursing on the side and he looked like he was going to commit a murder? I would have been terrified of Tom Brady. If I was the rest of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm not going near Brady because he looked like he wanted to kill someone. It was rough, and he's going to put that fire and that passion and put it towards the New England Patriots. Wow. He's also the Fantasy Walkabout's Budgie Smuggler of the Week, because he's going to put on those budgies. He's going to strut his stuff, walk into that stadium, plant a flag in the middle of the field, flip an Eli Manning double bird to Bill Belichick as he walks out of the goddamn building. He's going to destroy. I'm smashing every over for Tom Brady this week. I don't think they're even want to run the ball. He'd be like, guys, I'm going to go break records against New England this week. Oh, yeah, it's just another game, but really he's going to like troll tweet them and post some video, score 6 touchdowns, 5 to Gronk just to make a point. Tom Brady, this week's Budgie Smuggler of the Week. God, Budgie Smuggler, sponsor us. When we come back, we're going to get into the hard yak. We have lots of time. We breezed through that this time. I mean, this time last week, we were pushing time, but today we've created it. So that's good. Hey, when we come back, just a couple seconds. It's not 10, it's not 20, it's not 30. When we come back, we're going to do what's the spread. We're going to do hard yakka. We're going to get into some dynasty theory, a few trade situations, scenarios, and we're going to update you on true value for players that we talked about in the offseason and how to actually apply your true value. Sit tight, refresh your beverages, right? Don't go too far. And when we come back, we're going to do what's the spread and talk some theory. Hang in there. All right. If you're not going and checking out what's the spread, you need to be. These guys are dialed into the Big Ten. And I know they haven't been on the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast the last couple of weeks because there's been a little bit of timing issues. I don't have, me and Andy and Dan are working this out. But these guys got you covered for the Big Ten. And I got to tell you, Andy has been absolutely getting punched in the face with his picks the last couple of weeks. So I was very excited when I had this come across my email today.
No.
Very excited for Andy. Here's why. This is what's the spread.
This is what's the spread. 2-minute drill. Recap week 4 presented by Full Tilt Dynasty Podcast Network. Dan Starr, Andy Starr. Andy, you've been struggling with the lead pipe lock of the week, but things turned around for you this week. How did it go?
Yep, finally got one with Maryland, Talia, and that high-powered offense throwing for over 500 yards. Getting the easy W against Indiana. They won by 21 and covered that spread for me, so it feels good to finally get one in the books here.
You got one. I was streaking there. I had 2 in a row correct. This week, not so much. The Iowa Hawkeyes looked pretty pedestrian against the Colorado State Rams. They did look pretty good in the second half, shutting down the Rams, 0 points, holding them to 55 total yards, but it just wasn't enough, and the Hawkeyes did not get the cover, so we'll be better next week. I'll be better. Andy's going to keep it rolling. This is what's the spread.
Look, like I said, congratulations to Andy. That guy pushed through some really bad weeks, but he made it through. One thing I want to point out, notice how Andy gets absolutely roasted when he's wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And Dan's just like, yeah, whatever,
it's
bad week,
good.
forget
Yeah,
it.
whatever.
It's not a big deal. You can tell who's the host.
You notice Andy
Are we
went
all
first
like that?
this week?
I'm kind of like that. I get to push all the buttons and come up with shit, so I guess that's kind of part of it. But congratulations to those guys. Look, you need to go and check out what's the spread. Head on the Spotify, head on the iTunes. They are locked in to the Big Ten. They put out a great show, great content. Even if you're not into college football, it's worth giving it a listen because I'm not a big college football guy until it's scouting season. I listened to their show. I reached out to them to come and do this bit with us. And now I listen every week, and I find myself on Saturdays while I'm editing, always catching Big Ten football. I'm not bullshitting you. It's legit. It's great content. So that's what's the spread. Congratulations, Andy. And I caught what you did there, Dan. So look, it's time for some hard yakka. And some of these subjects might send you over the rails because no punches get pulled here. Look, Tom Lee and I have very different styles when it comes to fantasy football. Me, Tom Lee, Jacob, Billy, and Maddie all have incredibly different styles in how we approach things. The thing with myself and Tom Lee is that I don't really put the numbers into it during the season. I very much am looking at trends and what's happening, watching what's going on, and making the best move for my fantasy team. Where Tom Lee, you are a man of pure value. You don't give a single shit about narratives, trends, habits, coaching. It is who is the best value to you and your team at all freaking times. I'm a little jealous, but I'm more annoyed because I can't do it myself. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about what our true value system is. So we talked about it a lot in the offseason. It's when to trade for a player. It's when to avoid trading for a player, right? These are all very important things. And I want to talk about Austin Eckler. And I want to talk about him in a couple of different ways. Right now, Austin Eckler is doing exactly what we thought Austin Eckler might do. The thing with Austin Eckler was that we didn't know if he would do it with Anthony Lynn being gone. Right now, Anthony Lynn's gone, different coaching, second year with the quarterback. Is he going to let it loose a little bit? And then the big panic hit. No targets. Austin Eckler got no targets in week 1. Everyone panic. He's done. he's gone. And then he came back with 9 and then 6. Every time he's targeted, he's caught it. And some of his catches have been dope.
Yeah.
He only has 1 touchdown on the year, but he has 15 carries, 9 carries, 11 carries, 55 yards, 54 yards. And he's put up great games, back-to-back games, and 10-plus points in week 1. Now, where he was drafted, on average, was the 16th RB off the board. That makes him, around 4 or 5 pick, according to DLF?
Yep.
That is insane to me. But, interesting conversation we had with Jacob, right, is that's kind of where you expect to get him. He's at that, the age and we call it the murky situation apex. New coach, new scenario, wasn't healthy last year, don't know what's really going to happen. Was it a mirage? Was it all a mirage? And then there was the hamstrings and the shoulders. He's small, blah, 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 blah. He does too many podcasts. Whatever you want to know. Like, Austin Eckler is a GOAT in the fantasy football community. The guy's unreal. But look, you get him in the 4th round. He's producing like a 1st and 2nd round pick. Now, this is where I want to hammer home the true value, right? So you get him in the 4th round and you're happy. But Tom Lee, how do you approach somebody to trade for someone like Austin Eckler? And should you trade for someone like Austin Eckler? Because, and I'll put it this way, when you're approaching somebody, if I were to be like, hey, Tom Lee, I need a running back. I see you have Austin Eckler there. He's playing really, really, really well.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay for him at his value. I want to pay for him at his draft value.
Yeah.
How do you handle that kind of conversation? And then we're going to go the other way and kind of talk through how to approach it with somebody else and what to expect.
Yeah. I mean, the first was, firstly, do you buy him right now? So, yeah, I mean, you can. Like, I don't think there's any downside. We now know more about, we know there's less murkiness in the situation, right? You talk about the murky apex. You're sort of climbing up the side of this mountain. You don't really know where the peak is because it's in the clouds. We know he's good, but we don't know how good. We don't know where to put him. So he sort of sits in that RB 10 to 18 range during the draft. And like you said, he's producing above all of that. So, yes, you should go out and look to get him. But are you getting true value by paying for him if you pay for his production right now? No. So this is what we're talking about with the true value scale is what value do you pay to actually receive either appropriate value or true value for production? We talk about, is it more valuable to have an asset on your team or to send them away? A lot of that's based on production, and at RB5 and at 19 points a game or 16 points a game, he's killing it. So,
and I don't see a reason for that to stop.
No, because the concerns were the situation. The concerns weren't the talent. It was more opportunity and situation. We've seen now with the coaching staff, and we've seen now with the quarterback that, nothing's really changed, and he's as productive as ever. He's got most of the snaps. It's a high-powered offense. They're in most games. They're in a very competitive division, so we know that all the divisional game is going to be high scoring and high contest. And yeah, I mean, I don't think that production stops. I think the idea now is that if someone owns him and you're going to them, you need them to be in a situation where they want to sell him, because with that level of production on your field, there's no opportunity and there's no narrative that I can see that you're going to coax an owner into to sell him at draft value.
Right. And that's very important when it comes to
the
trade
issue
scenarios.
when it comes to, and especially when it comes to receiving true value, because we know what it's going to give you for your team.
Yes.
There's no point paying that top level price on a player that's perceived possibly at a lower perception. So
yes,
that's what makes it a hard call. It's easy to say, oh, ADP's this, go out and buy him. But if the perception's not matched to the ADP, then there's no value to be had there.
Right. Week 4, the ADP, the draft, I got him here. That doesn't matter anymore. And especially we like to talk about leagues that have been around for a while. It doesn't matter anymore. So as I mentioned in the question, if somebody were to come up to you and say, hey, I'm looking to buy into a running back, I need a pretty good one. I know Austin Eckler, I'll word it this way. I know Austin Eckler has been balling, but he's old for a running back.
Yeah.
When you're looking to move him, what kind of, and I hate this, but this is how people ask fucking trade questions most of the time. What are you kind of looking for in moving him? And I know that he's playing well right now, but he's still an RB2.
Right?
So what are you looking for? Like what are you targeting? I know how I would approach it. So when it comes back to the other way, I'll tell you. But
yes, I mean, we know my approach, right? Is if you're going to trade away an asset when they're at the peak of their value, you need to replace production and add value. Well, the problem is your asset is outproducing mostly everyone else in the league, so replacing that production is going to be quite difficult, right? So this is where the true value of someone like Eckler is it to sell him? Well, not if people don't value him at top 10 levels. If they still value him at 16, but know he's out producing it, and we'll talk about another player as a wide receiver later on who's doing the same thing.
Yes.
What is the value to sell this player? Like, are you going to be able to replace their production?
Well, you can ask me, and I have an answer for you, Tom.
Well, that's it. So, Tom, I'm looking to buy Austin Eckler. Producing really well at the moment. We know he's getting older, and we know that you might be looking to rebuild. Totally. Not telling you what your team's going to be doing, but what are you looking to do? What are you asking for him?
Yeah. Don't tell someone how
someone what they're doing.
Yeah. Drives me nuts specifically. Look, hey man, I love Austin Eckler. I think he'd be a good asset to you. I'm only moving him if I'm looking to get younger. So look, I mean, I see that J Will is your third or fourth RB on your roster. I love J Will. Melvin Gordon's doing really well, so I mean, it could only be next year. So I think J Will would be good. That's Javonte Williams, and I kind of like a younger, I'd like a younger wide receiver too, someone in that number 2, like borderline 2 category. I think T Higgins. So I think if you were to toss me Javonte Williams and T Higgins, I think I could let Austin Eckler go. And that's where I am with him right now. That's what I want from him. Now, people who have Javonte Williams, like me, we're not letting him go for anything, even with the fumble. I think he's looked fantastic. Even though Gordon's also, to his credit, looked fantastic.
Yeah,
and
Gordon's
then T Higgins,
nearly top 10 stand of the year.
A clear wide receiver too, who's been meh. So if you're getting rid of Eckler, you got to get a first-round rookie draft pick capital and a young wide receiver that can still produce. So for me, that's what I'm moving Eckler for. I mean, I think that's a reasonable trade target, but that's how you go about it.
I think that's the only way to get value on him. Right now, his true value for me is to keep him on your team because they're the assets you want. Ones that you acquired for a lower perceived price but are outproducing their price. They're the ideal asset to have on your team.
Right, and then
these are the assets that you moved a top asset down to replace production. That's where the value was. So it's really hard now, unless this is established by the end of the season, and we know that he's going to keep producing like this, and you want to sell him to a win now team or to someone else, you're going to have to find a different narrative because you've got a piece that is perceived as lower who's out producing. So it's really hard to sell the narrative of I need to get multiple pieces for this player.
See, and for me, it's not. Right, it's not hard for me to ask for that because at the end of the day, I'm like, well, I'm okay keeping him, and then you wait a week, and then all of a sudden they're going to come back to you, right? But look, I don't even think it's to a team that's trying to contend. I want to move Austin Eckler to a team that's a tweener.
Yeah.
So if they got Javonte Williams, that means they drafted at 106, 107. They're a tweener. They might make contention. To me, those are the teams more willing to move young assets for that player,
because they're not willing to wait on that player to develop.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. No, I like that idea and that narrative. That's a really interesting. Yeah, really interesting.
So that's kind of how we deal with what actual true value is to me. So right now, to me, you have a +2 in true value by rounds. You drafted Austin Eckler at the end of the 4th. He's producing like you got him in mid 2, early 2. That's a 2+ in his true value right now. So it's definitely in your best interest to move him. To me, that's what his true value means to me. And you're saying hold. So it'll be interesting to come back to this in a couple of weeks. And
I'm saying move it. If you can get what you just told me, you move him every single day of the week.
Right.
My issue is that if I have Javonte Williams, I'm likely not looking to compete with him, or I'm very happy with where he sits. I'm not moving him straight for Austin Eckler. That's the issue for me.
Right, but again, we've got to realize that most dynasty players don't give a shit about that value. When someone's like, hey, here's an RB5 on the year right now, and on offense that is exploding with a superstar quarterback.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, that's what people are going to look at. Like there are very stout and shark type dynasty players, but in most leagues, it's not
you
what
just
you're
want
getting.
production.
So
you
it
want what you
doesn't
see. Yeah.
right. So it doesn't hurt to do this.
Yeah.
Also,
and
for
that's
anybody
why we do
listening that's
this.
in leagues with me, don't ask me for Javonte Williams. You won't get him.
Yeah. It's not happening.
Look, a couple running backs I want to talk about. There are a couple players I want to talk about. One more running back. We're going to go receivers, and we'll get the hell out of here. Right? Let's talk about Jonathan Taylor this year, because he's drafted as the running back 5. Right? If you got him, you either drafted him 101, 102, 103 last year in rookie drafts and leagues that have already been around, and you expected Austin Eckler at Jonathan Taylor just without the receptions, right? But he and this is interesting, right? I think it was Matty B that actually mentioned this. Jonathan Taylor kind of did what David Montgomery did last year. Beat the absolute living snot out of poor defenses, and he shot up the draft boards. People were taking Jonathan Taylor over Dalvin Cook. They're taking him over Alvin Kamara, taking him over Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley. And then people kind of got a little smarter and drafted him in the late 1, early 2, which I think is fair.
Yeah, that's fine.
So you look at Jonathan Taylor, he doesn't have a touchdown, right? I mean, he's getting outplayed by fucking Peyton Barber, which can't last forever, but the whole Colts team has been concerning, right? He's averaging 10 points per game. He's at 32.1 points on the season. He's eight receptions, which is fine, right? 70 yards, but it's the no touchdowns.
Yeah.
With Jonathan Taylor, he's obviously in a hold pattern. You're not actually going to move him. How willing are you to go poking around? Because you know he was a round 1 high pick.
Yeah.
Is it time? Look, the name of the episode, right? Tilting to panic. Do you feel like the time is now for people who are tilting for Jonathan Taylor, or are you just not still willing to pay up? And there were a couple of trades actually asked in our Slack that I'm going to use as a reference here. So are you willing to pay big prices for Jonathan Taylor before I give you some examples, and we'll toe the line here?
So for true clarity, I bought him twice in the last week, right? Which is a sentence I didn't think I'd hear this year. Because, like we said, perception and actuality was this is a top, for us, 5 running back in Dynasty, 21, 22-year-old stud athlete on a team that's meant to have this awesome offensive line behind an okay quarterback who can hit targets downfield, right?
Yes.
The Colts are meant to be rolling, and they're not. They're rolling backwards, which is a concern, mostly to Jacob in our Slack channel. But you know, when we're not seeing a huge amount of volume on the ground. We're not seeing an 80-90% share of the running load.
Yeah.
And snap count. So without that volume, unless he is using his athleticism, using that burst and scoring those touchdowns, he's not going to have the top 10 weekly upside that everyone wanted week in, week out. So there is a void there and an easy narrative to make to suggest that you can get a slightly diminished view on this player. We talked about a +2 for Austin Eckler. He's performing at a round 2. Well, let's take Taylor at a round 1. He's right now performing at around 4 or 5 at rate, right? But the key is the perception. If that, right? You wouldn't pay for him there, but you'd take the risk. The key is, what do you believe is going to happen with this team? He's so young, he's so explosive, so athletic. For me, it doesn't matter. The talent's the talent.
Okay.
If I'm win now, it's really difficult, because for what you're going to have to give up, you're going to have to give up either performing pieces, or you're going to have to give up future youth, and we'll talk about this in a second, to get this player in. So you're going to have to form yourself a narrative to sell why this person would move on from Taylor. Either they're a win now team who Taylor is not helping straight away and who need performing pieces, so you can use the production replacement narrative in a reversal to get him. But yeah, it'd have to be a pretty specific scenario to want to try and go out and get him, because if you're win now, you don't want to get rid of your production to go and get a piece who's not going to match it, right?
Right.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. You're already in the better position. But at the same time, you can't sell him right now because you're not going to get a lot of value back. So there's a perception of possibly a -4 or 5 true value scale situation. But it's really hard to sell that because people have invested so much in this. So that's the key to me. If I came to you asking for JT, so I'm poking around and saying, hey, look, man, I really need an RB3, which is always a nice stab in the guts because it suggests that you got 2 better running backs than the one you're acquiring. Yeah. Look, I'm interested in JT. He's not living up to what we thought would happen. Where are you at with him? What are you thinking with him? Are you open to moving him?
That's a
Where
tilt
is
check.
he for you?
We call that a tilt check.
This little tilt probe, just walking up him a Budgie Smugglers, just strolling up on the beach and just saying, hey man, how are things? Bit of sun lotion. Mind if I borrow some of that? Really
nice
cool.
budgies.
Where'd you get that umbrella? Nice
exactly.
budgies.
Yeah. Sick budgies, mate.
Just a little tilt check.
Yeah. Look, I'd probably meet that with like I'm not ready to move him.
Yeah.
Kind of reply. However, when you send that message, you send a trade, right? You don't just go in with that.
Yeah.
You send a trade to like, hey, poke, hey,
Yeah.
So
just get some thoughts going. Oh, you could have this, you could have that.
I've been sitting here trying to find those freaking trades that Maddie posted, and I can't find them now.
Yeah.
Because sometimes our Slack goes absolutely off. But look, I think one was like DJ Moore, a 2024 first.
So these are my trades, so I can tell you them. Yeah.
Oh, these are yours? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is in the same league with one of our boys, Matty. So it was DJ Moore in a 2024 first, a 2024 second, and an auxiliary piece like a Quez Watkins for Jonathan Taylor. Yeah.
That is. Look, I love DJ Moore, but even that's a smash for me. So yeah, I'm probably taking Taylor. In that case, yeah. For sure.
That's
a 24 first,
thing, right?
I'm going to be able to get that 24 first back in the aggregate. It may not be mine, but I'm going to get 1 or 2 back, right?
Yeah. So for your argument's sake, let's move it to a 22, like a 22 first, right? It's more relevant to most people in their leagues. So let's just say it's a 22 first. It's DJ Moore, who was a producing piece on everyone's team and everyone's lineup right now. 22 second, not too concerned about it because I don't really put a lot of faith in what is a shifting piece.
Right. I don't care about seconds at this point.
And the third piece was Tyson Williams, actually, to be honest. But so they're your three you're talking about. You're talking about DJ Moore. You're talking about a young.
So
top
for me,
12
you just take out the other 2 pieces for me, and it's DJ Moore and a 22
and
first.
Yeah,
that's tougher because I hate the term standing, but I am a stand for DJ.
Yeah,
it's less of a smash, but the league is about running backs. I'm probably still taking it.
That's the key, right? So even if you wanted to flip Jonathan Taylor when his form turns around, you'd probably net more than that in the return. And that's the key for me is you're buying an asset at its lowest at a decent value, but if he flips his production around, you can sell for the whole, If you really wanted to capture value off the back of it, worst case scenario, he produces what he produces. He's still a super talented young running back. That's never a bad thing to have on your roster because it's a piece you can play around with. Best case scenario, he flips his form, goes back to what we saw last year, and you have, Christian McCaffrey light. You have the next piece, the up and coming, the one you can sell for the whole. That for me is why it's worth giving up such a good player.
Right. So when it comes to true value, you're buying at not his true value, right? Because
correct.
Basically, if you're so when we talk about the true value scale, right, you're buying him at him on a negative, because if you drafted Jonathan Taylor late 1 and you're moving him and you're moving DJ Moore, who was a 5th round pick, maybe 6th round pick, and a 22 first, if you look at that in a draft, you're paying, most people wouldn't trade a 22 first straight up until what, round 7, round 8?
Yeah, 7, 8.
So you're trading a round 7, round 8, and a round 5 pick for your first round pick in a startup.
Yeah.
For a first round pick in a startup.
So
that's
really,
a smash.
Perceivably, you're looking at like late 3 round
let's just
value.
Say, exactly. So you're getting him at a
-2.
Yeah. It's amazing. That's unbelievable. Even if we give someone credit and say that they're able to pull a 6th or 7th round pick, you're trading a 5 and a 7 for a first round startup pick.
Yeah.
Like that's obscene. That's easy money. That's not thinking about it too hard right there, right? You believe in the talent, you believe in the player. And then Jonathan Taylor is it. And it's not even like that close to me. And that hurts. That hurts me because I love DJ Moore, right? Me and Billy got in a heated discussion over DJ Moore. It got heated in the Slack for a bit. And even the Slack went quiet for like 2 hours.
Everyone else backed off.
Right. We still didn't totally settle it. It'll be an end of season debate for sure.
That's fine. Yeah.
But what was the other one?
The other one, so CEH. So another topical, what do you do with this player?
Yes, very
Round
much. Let me
2,
tell you about
3
the CEH trade a little bit later.
Yeah, so CEH and the
Christ.
22 first for Jonathan Taylor.
I'm not even thinking about that for a second.
So the interesting thing is, even though CEH is, he's a lower perceived running back. Running backs go earlier in startups. We know this. So the startup value is actually less, right? So you're getting at less of a win than the DJ Moore trade because of where they're taken. But from a production point of view, CEH is not matching what DJ Moore's doing. So the value piece to a dynasty side is probably it's around about equal to what it was perception-wise with the DJ Moore move. So these are very similar to me, because to get a young running back at all, you're going to have to give up a lot. So to be able to give up comparably DJ Moore and insert CEH, like that's very similar. I guess perception-wise, it's very similar in dynasty leagues to view those two assets pretty level, even though the production's not. Because we know wide receiver production is higher, but we also know it's more replaceable. So so I mean, like that's where it's a little bit comparable. The key in that league was that my team is really young and rebuilding. So is there an advantage to giving up an extra asset? That's what made me question it more.
So here's the thing with that deal, right? So even if you look at this is the same process I look at in most trade opportunities, and I kind of went against that, making a big boy dynasty trade in another league that we're all in, but. And I'll explain that and how it pertains to this theory. And this is probably what we're going to end up riding out on, because we're about that time, where the amount of time people want to stop listening to our big, stupid voices. We appreciate everyone for hanging in. Look, for me, you look at that and it's the same thing for me. Clyde was taken in the 4th round for the most part.
Sure. Yeah.
Some people overreach for him at 2 or 3, but for the most part, he was behind Dobbins, Akers, Swift, who are his 2nd round picks, and you got the Chubbs and whatever. Sometimes they can be falling to the 4th. So let's say let's just give him the benefit of the doubt, and it's a 3rd round pick and a 22 first.
Yeah.
That's still 3 and a 7 for a 1st round dynasty startup pick.
Yeah.
That's not even close. And I know Taylor's been bad. Clyde just had his first 100-yard game. Fantastic. Right? I still want the better player. And to me, the better player is Jonathan Taylor. He profiles better. He was should have been drafted higher. Right? A lot of us fell for that trap. But it's not hard to see that Taylor is an absolute fucking monster. Yeah. But they have Naheem Hines. Yeah, and Kansas City has Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey. So and Williams, who likes to come in and steal touchdowns on the one.
On the one, yeah.
He's been on that team. He hasn't performed to that level. To me, unfortunately, Clyde is a RB2, probably moving forward with a couple of boom weeks, maybe, because we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
And Taylor's Taylor. He's proven that he could do it. To me, that's not even, again, I'm not even thinking about that deal. It's just a smash for me. Be very interested to see if people have comments about that deal.
We want feedback on that sort of stuff, because these are the conversations, the thoughts you should be having. We're 3 weeks in. It's still probably a little too early to look back, and we'll talk about when we review where we've got to and what's happening. But it's tilt, right? We call the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. We know people are tilting. We know there's a lot of action going on in leagues because it's starting to heat up, right?
Sometimes it's important to have these conversations, even if you don't think you need them.
This is what it's about. It's working through the dynasty theory, saying, let's talk about the players that are just sitting there that people could be going after or could be thinking about. You're not going to openly talk about in your group saying, I'm panicked about Jonathan Taylor. Not unless you want 11 trade offers for, Naheem Hines straight up. Like you're not going to openly open yourself up to that conversation, but it's worth having because this exercise is crucial.
You need to have it. You need to have it. If you can't have it with your league mates, have it with us. We'll have it with you. 100%. Thomas Tibble FF. Tom_Lee92. We'll have it with you 100% at Dynasty Tilt on the website and the forum. Get in there. We'll have it with you. I want to talk about a dynasty trade that I made because it kind of goes, and I know no one cares about your league, goddammit. We know.
We're talking about the players, right?
It is important for transparency to see process. We can talk process all we want, but if you don't see it, then it doesn't fucking matter. So how can you trust people if you don't know? This is a big league for us, right? This is $100 buy-in, right? Yeah. Big league. It's kind of the league that brought us all together. Me, you, Billy, and Jacob, all in this league. The only one missing is Maddie because we didn't really know him yet. This is big for us. I was what I call a tweener. I was an in-between team. I had Lamar Jackson, Kamara, Monty, Tyreek, right? OBJ, DJ Moore, George Kittle. I was very in between. I made a really bad trade with you last year. At the end of the year, it was not great. I had to recover. And, me and Billy started talking about Trey Lance. And we love Trey Lance, right? He's arguably the 101 in rookie drafts if we do it again with how bad Lawrence has looked, because Trey Lance hasn't had an opportunity to look bad.
Yeah, he hasn't looked bad.
Right?
Yet.
That's basically what it comes down to.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, so every time he comes in, he scores a touchdown because he looks great. But I have serviceable quarterbacks, Sam Darnold, QB1, right?
Yeah, you have
Lamar
3
Jackson,
other quarterbacks.
the GOAT, the true number 1. And then I have Jared Goff, who's been fine, right?
Yeah.
Playable. And then I had Trey Lance. I was like, okay, out of all of my assets, he's going to be the one. So I started talking to Billy, and it went back and forth a lot. You started with Trey Lance, a first, a second, and Marshall for Robert Woods, Julio, and Derrick Henry. And I was like, no. And it kind of went back and forth. So I'll tell you the trade right now. It was Marvin Jones, Robert Woods, Derrick Henry, and Julio Jones for Terrace Marshall, Trey Lance, and 2 2022 second-round picks. That was the deal, right?
Yeah.
So I went and bought in on Henry, went and bought in on Woods, bought in on Julio, and with Marvin Jones. That's 4. This is going against everything we always talk about. We talk about we don't want the age. We don't want the vets. Now, are dingoes fighting in your backyard? Is that what I'm
Possibly.
hearing right now?
Yeah, very small.
It kind of
dingoes.
sounds like, that sounds like dingoes.
We don't have dingoes, but next door apparently there's a couple of dingoes out the back, mate,
I love it. I love that you can just turn that switch on. It's fantastic.
You gotta,
but look,
you get good by insulting. Yeah.
Oh my God. So this is youth versus the vets. So the
age
league
versus
is very
production.
exactly.
Yeah.
This is very split
age-old
in the league.
Battle.
This is very split because not a lot of people believe in the super flex. Also, it's super flex value of young quarterbacks. Trey Lance hasn't played yet, and all of a sudden he's being, dusted for the rushing champ, 2,000-yard runner, Derrick Henry. Basically, is what that is, and then Woods and Julio, good players, and Marvin Jones has been balling out for a bunch of second-round picks. I loved this trade from my side, obviously. Of course, Trey Lance is going to come out and ball when he comes in. Billy was going to shove it in my face. When you're looking at a trade like this, how do you value moving these pieces? Is it hard for you? Would you have added less? When someone approaches you about wanting to win now and they're willing to give up their young stud, right? Are you more willing to do that move regardless of where your team is at? Because Billy's team was very good.
Yeah.
But it was about wanting Trey Lance. So do you come in situations where you definitely want a player like Trey Lance and are willing to give that up, even if you're kind of in it? How does this trade kind of break down for you? And is this something you advise people to do or not?
So for me, like the trade, I have a very clear opinion of this trade, and I can walk you through it. So the key was it makes sense on your side because you want production, you win now. What you needed was depth, and you got it, right? You can replace production. If someone goes down, you have Derrick Henry, who is a stud running back who can come in and replace any given time. It's great insurance policy. It just helps fill out your roster really well. Yes, you lose a huge asset or 2 decent assets in Lance and Marshall. But the key is you didn't need him because he was your 4th quarterback, right? So it makes perfect sense. I locked away that side. Yeah, it didn't need as in for your roster construction for performing and winning this year. It made
a luxury item. He was a luxury item.
He's going to be fantastic. He's going to be better than most other quarterbacks except for Lamar on that roster. But right now, you're looking to win. You're very clear-minded with what you wanted to do. It made sense. The other side for me is where it gets interesting. So I don't care what your opinion of Trey Lance is. Billy loves him. That's fine, right? Therefore, your value is high. I like it. So if you take, let's say, Marvin Jones and Derrick Henry and you trade him for Trey Lance, in a win-now switch situation, regardless of how you value quarterbacks, I'm fine with that switch, whatever. That's cool. Yeah. If you switch the other 2 assets, Terrace Marshall, and you switch Julio Jones, old-ass immediate production for whatever the future could be. Fine. Happy with that switch. The issue for me was the risk that Billy took on the seconds. And it's something
that's
we've
very
sort of
important, actually.
It's something we've referenced on this, but we don't talk a lot about because we always talk about replace production, add value. The issue for me is seconds can either be worth something or nothing at all.
Yes.
With a first, it can be amazing or it can be decent. That's fine.
Yes.
That's the key for me. The risk is less, even though the range of a first round pick is still probably bigger than a second round pick, right?
Right.
We don't know enough about the class. We don't know all that sort of stuff. But this could be the 212, 210. That's the issue for me, is that Robert Woods trade for 2 seconds, which is how I evaluate it.
That's
you have
exactly
a known
how
asset
we
in
did it
Robert
too.
Woods.
Yeah.
Which I understand you don't want to give up just a first for Robert Woods, but that's what I would have done. I would have looked to take the 2 seconds out and make it a single first, and that's how it would have been really, really even for me, because the risk is less, even though the value is similar.
See, now
So,
this is where it's
yeah.
important, everyone, to, and he didn't come to me for Trey
No,
Lance.
no.
We were both fighting for Derrick Henry in this situation.
If you don't like Trey Lance in this situation, substitute your favorite quarterback or your favorite young player, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Right. We're talking about in this
the
scenario.
Concept. It's the theory. It's the process. Yeah.
We knew Derrick Henry is going to be fought for, right?
Yeah.
Tom Lee and I were going in. There was another player or two in the league that were going in for him. Billy let us know. So we knew. And I knew if Tom Lee got his dirty, grubby hands on him, I was fucking toast. So I had to do something. I was 0-2. That's the other thing. I was 0-2 when I did this.
Yes, you're throwing it in.
You're
throwing the dice in.
So initially, right, he didn't like the seconds thing. And I told him I wasn't trading a first for Julio and I wasn't trading a first for Woods.
Yep.
And that almost shut the whole deal down.
Yep.
Right? We went back and forth and we just shut it down. And I wasn't budging. Either I was going to lose that week and go 0-3 and I'm trading off Kamara and I'm trading off, I'm not don't trade away Tyreek Hill as a rebuilder. Stop doing that. I don't care that he's 27. He's unreal. Stop it. You don't have to. 27 doesn't mean get rid of him because he's too old. Stop it. Stop it. Look, and Robert Woods hasn't played that well.
Yeah.
He just hasn't. Cooper Kupp's clearly the one there. Will it kind of even out? Maybe. Julio Jones, 1 good week, 2 subpar weeks. I'm not taking that risk. Terrace Marshall has looked great, and I don't care about Robbie Anderson as a player. So I like Terrace Marshall a lot. He had more value to me than just a second-round pick. He was a second-round pick, but he has more value to me than that second-round pick. So I was okay losing the 2 seconds, one of which I acquired in another deal for Teddy Bridgewater because I have 5 friggin' quarterbacks on this roster. And I was okay letting that go. That was free money. That was house money. Didn't care. Boop, see ya. Taking your assets and realizing which assets are free money and then holding your line, right? I held my line on what I was willing to give up with Trey Lance, and that's okay. And maybe it would have ruined the deal, but I sent it anyway. I woke up the next day and Billy accepted it. And that's it. That's all your trades have to be. You can send it, leave it, let them think about it, whatever. It's okay to hold your line, but there was no way in hell I was giving up a first-round pick in that deal. I just wasn't going to do it. And whether that meant, and it's league to league, I know that first-round picks are huge value in that league, right? That's the way it's worked out the last couple of years. And that's important to know in your league too. It's okay to be stingy in a trade negotiation. You don't got to be a dick about it either.
Yeah.
Deals can happen. Now, this could blow up in my face.
That's the key.
Big time
It doesn't
could blow
change
up in
it.
my
The
face.
value could be fine.
Yes. But it's a matter of, okay, so you said you wouldn't have done it without getting a first back. That means we weren't going to get the deal done. There was no way that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's also okay.
Yeah.
But the reason we talk through this is because when you're going through and you're working out a deal, for the most part, you've already torpedoed yourself 2 sentences into the negotiation.
Yeah.
Right? We went back and forth. We had brief explanations as to why. No one was name calling. I wasn't saying that, oh, well, your team is bad anyway. You're not going to make it anywhere. Your team's definitely going to have the 101. So blah, 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 blah. None of that mattered. Right? You just talked through the process. I'm not giving up this. Billy really wanted this player. I reached out to him. Hey, I'm kind of thinking about moving Lance. And right there, I really want Lance. I really want to get this deal done. Boom. And the second he told me that, and I love you, Billy, so I hope you're listening, right? The second he said, I really want Lance. Like, I'd love to get Lance off you. I knew I had a little bit more pushback.
Correct.
I knew that I didn't really have to give up that first. Now, would I have done a deal without Julio Jones or Robert Woods in it? For sure. He even asked. He wanted Robert Woods out, and he put Marvin Jones in, and it was the 2 seconds in Marshall. And I was like, well, then I'm not giving you Marshall, right? But I wouldn't do the deal without Robert Woods was kind of my
Yeah.
thing. If I wasn't getting what I wanted, it wasn't happening. And that's what it led to. So that's where it's important for everyone listening. If you are listening, if you're making deals out there, if you're sending offers out, right? Stick to your game plan, understand what you want out of it. And it's okay to go back and forth. Don't be a dick or it's going to cost you your trade. And at the same time, kind of, push a little bit. At the end of the day, if you really fought me, would I have given up a first? Right? Probably. I actually might have.
Yeah.
Right. You never know what you actually will and will not do, but look, and that's where it comes down to. That's why we want to talk through these situations. This is why we want to talk through the theory and the process, because it is important. That trade also didn't take 2 weeks. That trade took 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another big thing. Right? It doesn't have to be a 5-hour seminar on how to trade. So, right? So yeah, that's our big dynasty trade news of the week, and that's kind of our breakdown of the process. That's the hard yakka. That's what we talk about. It is the processes that we push ourselves through, that we go through, and we do this for every trade and every situation. When people ask us about trade questions, would you trade this player for that player? This is what we're going through. This is what we're doing, right? It's important to have these conversations. And like I said, you can have these conversations with us. Tom Lee, final thoughts before we get out of here.
We got to get Aussie slang in there. And
of course.
I like this one. This is a personal favorite. So the phrase is Poets Day, right? Poets, Poets. If you want to write that down at home, you can. What does Poets Day mean? So Poets Day is short for piss off early, tomorrow's Saturday, right? So essentially, if you're at work on a Friday and it's around about 12, you're like, come on, mate, let's go to the pub. It's Poets Day, right? So it's mostly used on work sites because it's like, you know what, nothing good's going to get done in the next 2 hours. Let's piss off. Let's head to the pub. Piss off early. Tomorrow's Saturday. Poets Day. Yeah.
Poets Day. I'm using that
Friday
on Friday.
Is Poets Day.
I am using that on Friday for the full tilt. We're gonna get out of here because it's Poets Day.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. You always bring the heat with the Aussie slangs.
Just getting a little bit. I mean, this may not. Honestly, if you're an Aussie listener, and I'm assuming there's a couple out there because
we do have some. Yep,
we do have some Aussie listeners. You may not even know Poets Day because you don't work in that. You don't work in that industry.
This is definitely a blue collar.
Yeah, absolutely
slang.
Blue collar.
It's Poets Day.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here, Poets Day. I love that. I'm going to use that at work.
It's not going to happen in your financial institutions.
I'm a blue collar guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
just
that.
Hard work and cracking a nice cold beer. That's how it rolls.
Fantastic. Do you have any final thoughts on the fantasy week?
Nothing crazy. I mean, and you reiterate this every single week where it's, love one another, be kind, all that sort of stuff. But this week in particular, like we said at the start, we want to finish with thinking about tags and thinking about how quick things can change and how rough it can be out there. So just reinforce,
yes,
when you're on Twitter or when you're interacting with everyone else, like you always say, it's everyone's day at work. Like what we do has an unimaginable impact on other people as we go about our day. So don't go in and assume the worst, and don't go in and assume that, what you do has no consequence. Just be kind, think about it, because, it's not here forever. So this is, as poignant as it's ever been as a point for us to make. So, yeah.
Yep. Nope. 1000%, yo. And look, we want to enjoy our football. And that's what's important, is enjoying our football. And you can do that. But again, be nice and be kind. You can find us here every week. We're going to keep saying the same thing. Check in on your loved ones. Make sure everyone's okay. Don't be a dick, right? And, always be careful because people are watching, wanting to give you opportunities. And, you might miss one because you decided to, brush some people off. So try to avoid that kind of stuff. And look, I'm your host with the most time in his hands. I'm Thomas Tipple FF. You can catch me next time you see me. It'll be Friday, the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. Then you're going to catch me again Sunday morning at the Start Sit Show at Join Our Circle _ with Chase Vernon. And then you're going to catch me this Sunday night for Chasing Points at the Dynasty Happy Hour at Dynasty Happy Hour Pod, where myself, Chase Vernon, and Jordan Santos are going to go through what happened through the day, how it's going to affect the fantasy values moving forward in the dynasty landscapes. And then, of course, you can catch me right back here on Tuesday at the fantasy walkabout. Lots of great stuff happening. I gotta say, I am so fucking excited to be given the opportunity to work with Trophy Smack. They are they're all about the fantasy football championships, the belts, the trophies. You've seen them on Shark Tank. If you haven't, go look it up. They're fantastic, wonderful company, and they want to launch a website. I'm very proud and humbled to been given the opportunity to work there. So couldn't do it without everyone here, right? Couldn't do it without the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast group, the Dynasty Vipers, Fantasy Intervention, you, Jacob, Billy, Tom Lee, people listening, commenting, messaging, and keeping us driving, man. It's honestly everything. So happy. Hey, and also don't forget, Michael Pittman rookie card giveaway will be next week. We're doing it in 2-week intervals. Super easy to enter. Follow me and Tom Lee. Leave a comment as to why you're a giant Michael Pittman fan. Go to the website, drop a comment in the forum or on an article. Doesn't matter. Just let us know why you're a Michael Pittman fan. Your name automatically gets entered. We're going to draw the name and give the card away. So, with that being said, always remember that clear eyes and full hearts can never lose, and that the best days are spent tilting. Good night, everybody. Truly. See you Friday.
It says here we should work in teams. Who wants to be my spotter?
I don't think you should be doing too much gambling tonight, Alan.
Gambling? Who said anything about gambling? It's not gambling when you know you're going to win.